So please give a big delight welcome to Nick Frunzi.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Good morning. Thank you very, very much for having me here today. I want to level set a little bit with who Esri is, because I'm sure almost no one in the room knows. Okay, let me ask that question. Does anyone know who we are? Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Here's a picture of Jack, and I will refer to him as Jack. Jack is our founder. The company was founded 44 years ago. It is completely private. It has never borrowed money. It owes no money. It has no debt. The company's completely run on a cash flow basis. It's the largest billion-dollar company you've probably never heard of. What we do, as Dave quickly described, is provide basically geographic information systems. We provide a geospatial platform for anyone that has questions about geography. So everybody here knows Google Maps, Bing Maps. That's the visualization portion of geography. What we do is we do that as well, but we do the questions. Like, so, okay, where does Starbucks want to put a new location? Where does TriMet here, how do they want to manage their rail infrastructure? How does the power company want to deal with utility poles? How does the city want to deal with zoning? Almost any industry, private company that wants to deal with space, you can use our technologies to do. And if you look at, this is a quote I think from Forbes, we've just kind of grown. We're successful. We've never laid off an employee in 44 years because we've just grown continually. And the thing that's really interesting about us is Jack's ethos. It's all about customers. Customers drive what we do. Customers drive our development. We continually listen to customers. We do, before this conference that Dave mentioned, we do a survey that goes out to everybody who's going to come to the conference. We get about 1,200 to 1,500 responses. I end up sitting in a room with him, our CMO, and one of our product engineer heads, and we go through every comment on every survey. And this is a guy who will pick up the phone, call Robin in Australia, because it's the right time, and say, so I'm actually reading the survey that you submitted for our conference. And people were just like, this is Jack? What is, like, so the owner of this company is calling me out of the blue to respond to my survey. And that's essentially how he runs the business. And if we look at these 9,000 employees, what I can tell you undeniably is every single one of them is a hero. If a customer has an issue, they will do anything in their power, beyond their power, anything possible to support the customer, to help the customer solve the problem they have, and to basically, have people able to do the work that they do with our technology without any issue whatsoever. So if I give you this introduction, you may now think kind of how Dave introduced me, which is there's not a whole, why would I have to change? We're profitable, we're cash flow basis, we've grown for 44 years, everyone's a hero at the company. It's a great business. What's the problem? Well, there's a small problem. Is that you don't really know which hero you're going to get when you reach out to us. So what we have is a scalability and reliability problem. So when you reach out, someone's going to help you, and they're going to solve your problem. But you may not get the same solution from the different people you talk to. It'll be a solution, but it might not be the right solution for you. And it's even the concept of, if we use this kind of Superman analogy, even Superman has a bad day once in a while on the Kryptonite side. You will run into a hero who's going to do their best for you, and they're really not going to solve your business problem. They may solve your personal problem, but they're not going to necessarily have the larger scale so that every time you contact us, you're going to get the same exact level of consistency and experience. So that's kind of the concept of, well, why should we improve? Or to some extent, people might say, what is left to improve? Which I tend to disagree with. We get a lot of resistance when we talk about customer experience because, not hubris, but kind of this idea like, well, we're doing really well. And I always like this Henry Ford quote of, we've incrementally grown the company. We talk to our customers. We listen to our customers. You know, we have a conference every year in San Diego. 14,000 people show up to it. And it's a week long of listening to customers, talking to customers. You know, we've got a website that's got X number of page views, and sales are up every year, sometimes double digits. And so what's, you know, what is there to change? That's the resistance to CX, because we think we do it already. So what we did is we took a small team and decided to kind of poke this a little bit. And in late 2012, we went out and we surveyed a specific group of customers. So one of the things you can do with our platform is you can trial the platform. So we have software as a service, we have software on desktops, we have software on servers. And you can get access to this technology, you know, pay anything, play with it, evaluate it, see if you might want to actually use our platform. So we decided to go after those people. Some of them are existing customers, some of them are customers that could be our customers. And we started looking at the systems, and what we found is throughout our platform, there are 11 different ways that you can get an evaluation. And there are 30 different back-end systems that manage it. So the idea is if you wanted to evaluate 2 products from us, you'll never have the same experience. Because what happened is some of our heroes designed what they thought was the best evaluation experience. But there's been no overall holistic piece. So we talked to these customers, we surveyed them, you know, how was your experience? How was this? And then in January each year, we have an executive meeting with Jack and my colleagues. And part of what I presented was on CX, among some other stuff. And we talked about trials and evaluations. We surveyed customers. And here's some of the feedback that we got. I especially love the grad school comment, actually. So we're really successful. We are, actually. But this is the passion we can drive people to say. That's the other thing that is great about our customer base is that they are completely transparent to us. So when we screw up, they're very good at telling us we screw up. So I kind of talked about this in the meeting. I got everybody's attention. And then there was this last little bit. And when you work for a privately held company, ooh, this is not a good thing to see. Because Jack takes it personally. So this, I wouldn't say galvanized, but it kind of removed a barrier in the company to say, well, yeah, we should probably look at this stuff. So what we did is what many companies that deal with CX do is basically understand that we absolutely do have a problem. It may not seem like a problem, but we have a problem. And the thing that I made sure to kind of close the deal in this meeting was, because I had everybody kind of speechless based on the I hate Esri thing. I said, so, well, what about, do we know how many customers we lose every year? Like, I know we grow every year, but do we know who doesn't pay their subscriptions, pay their maintenance? And a couple of murmurings in the room, and the COO says, well, yeah, you know, in SAP, we know who does that. Okay, that's great. I said, have we ever asked them why they left? No. The sales guys kind of know in some cases because they had a conversation about collecting a bill they couldn't get. And then being, I guess, I don't know, Sicilian from back east originally, I went in for the kill and said, so what about, like, so we get revenue every year, customers stay with us. Have we ever asked them why they stayed? No. Nobody's ever asked the question. So we have a problem. We need to actually start asking. We need to actually, instead of simply listening, we need to actually engage. So what we did is what many organizations have to deal with is silos. We are, again, a very successful company. We have silos within our offices in the US. We have offices in 80 countries. So there's a lot of ways people are doing business as heroes to try to help customers. And so one of the things we did was we basically got 40 people together from across all the silos in the company, as well as some of our international offices, brought them into the office and had a very simple, as again, anybody who's got CX experience, a customer journey mapping session. And for me, what was interesting was it was the first time in my career, and I've been there a very long time. The way I always describe it is I had hair when I started, so that may give you an idea how long I've been there, that people across the organization were just talking to each other. People who'd never met, business units that had nothing to do with each other on a day-to-day basis were having conversations about what the customer should do and what we should do for our customers. And the one real moment for me that I knew it was successful is we've got stages posted on the wall, stages of the journey, and groups are talking, and I'm walking around the room, and I walk up to one group, and this one woman from professional services is saying, well, in PS, what we do, and she goes on to describe this thing. And our professional services group is a very strong, very profitable business. And I'm waiting to see what she does. And she finishes, and she says, well, so you all understand that now. And I go, oh boy, here we go. And she says, so now how do we take that up to a corporate Esri viewpoint? And that's when I knew I had it, is that we basically said, we have silos. Each of those silos has a competitive advantage, but we need to leverage them. So you don't destroy them. You actually say, okay, cool, we've got these silos. Well, what are the best practices out of your organization to help our customers, and how do we think about it in a global context instead of just for your business? So with this kind of green light, what we did next is a little bit what Leslie talked about. We designed the future. Okay, so we know what the experience is today. What should the experience be? And we really did blue sky this. And the example I can give you out of some of those meetings was one of our stages is the buying experience, so when you buy our products. And there was a concept of, well, how am I going to buy if I don't engage with a salesperson, if I should just kind of do it through through a digital experience. I just want to buy your technology and configure it and configure the contract and do everything with that. And there was a proposal that we'd actually have a hologram that would show up to assist you in your buying process. That led to conversations about, Obi-Wan, you are our only hope, and things about Princess Leia, and we're not doing that. But I mean, the team was able to go, we can do anything. We don't have to worry about the fact that we work for a 44-year-old company that has consistently evolved. We can actually just decide, how should we treat our customers, knowing that we want to treat them well. And what this really helped us change is this idea of working independently, which is what all the heroes do. It's what all the employees are it's a group like almost any company, really smart people, to this idea of working together. And not only us as employees, but engaging with our customers. So we took the journey, we took the touch points, we actually went out to customers and said, okay, well here, you know us really well. We at Esri have done a bunch of navel gazing, about what we think you should have. And does any of this make sense? And what we found is that, yeah, actually, we do know our customers pretty well. There's some stuff we didn't know. Well, I'm not going to say we didn't know it. There's some stuff that they helped clarify, is a better way to put it. But for the most part, we were not off the mark. And they were happy we're doing this. So, because many of our customers have been with us for 20 years. And they've grown with us. So they're invested in our business. And they know we listen, and they know that we want to be there to help them. But they're having their own challenges in their businesses. And they want, actually one of the requests that came out of, one of the things we didn't think about was our customers actually want help with change management, which is an interesting idea. Because we evolve our technology with whatever is, the current technology that we should be, so 5 years ago, we didn't have any mobile technology. Now, of course, we have mobile technology. Our customers are going, well, how do we integrate this in our enterprise? So they've actually asked us to say, well, would you help us do change management in our own organization? Which is a really interesting request, but it shows kind of the relationship. An interesting side effect that this effort has had is the work we've done in CX has helped grow our user experience activity. So the company, actually, to be perfectly honest, The company has never had any user experience discipline whatsoever. We are an engineering firm, fundamentally. And so it's the people build software, people will come to use software. I'm not an engineer, so I can say that. I don't have that hubris. But what's happened is we actually now have, because of the activities we've done, we've actually built a UX practice, and we're hiring people that are like yourselves, some of you, that are skilled in UX, that have understand the discipline, and that we're going to build technologies and services that actually are fostered from real work instead of like, well, yeah, that guy thinks it happens to look good. Instead of actually, well, let's actually do testing. The other thing that's been, for me, really dramatic is for the very first time in all of our history, we have UX people now assigned to the engineering teams. So every engineering team now has a UX person that doesn't work for the engineering team, but they're assigned to the engineering team. So that the products and services we build in the future can actually be usable. Because the big push that the team that I work with is kind of working with is that, yeah, we're a B2B company, but everybody that uses our technology is a consumer. And consumers expect something today. So we can't treat basically our consumers like a business. We have to treat them like consumers. The other thing that has been really interesting about this is the linkages between, and this may be something, maybe a stretch, this may be something that will bore you, but in my experience, I've had a really interesting case where the CX and UX meet up. And if we look at the idea of customer experience as the journey and user experience as kind of what happens when the customer does something, what we've extended it to is also the human aspect of experience. So what do you do with an employee when you interact with us? Which is kind of an interesting piece. What we are trying to build is a unified global goal, how to actually do this around the world. And it is a work in progress. This whole thing's a work in progress. I'll close with the path that essentially we've taken, I've taken, and what maybe, and I hope, is some takeaways for you folks. The first thing is you have to be humble. So when you get people together to make these changes, it's really about them. It's not about you as a leader. It's not about you as the person. It's about, okay, how do I enable you to do the work? You also, this is more of a personal thing, I have this concept of a viral activity. And I have a background in medicine, and I was not a sick child, but I just have this virus thing. Is that what we do is we infect people with CX. So when we took that group of people together, we taught them all about the customer journey, taught them about touch points. They all went back to their silos. And now when I go to meetings, across the company, oh, customer this, user that, everyone and their uncle is now talking about the customer experience. And those people have not necessarily worked on our projects. But it's basically spreading essentially like a virus throughout the company at the ground level. Another thing that's essential is a safe environment. You want your people to play well together. And what we were able to do is create an environment during our work that people could say anything. What's working at the company, what's not working at the company, what we should be doing. And they were saying things in the environment we were, they wouldn't tell their own line management. But they tell each other, and they tell us. And you have to create an environment where they can actually speak the truth and not feel that they're going to be punished for it. An important role that I had was to provide air cover, which is essentially if we're trying to do something and an employee can't get it done because of resistance, I can come in and take care of it, essentially. The wonderful thing I can tell you is while I've offered that service to people doing CX, it's never been used. People have just worked together. We've had things where development and marketing are having these conversations, and I'm like, well, if you need help, just have the dev guys call me. Never happens. People just actually work it out, which is, I mean, it's been amazing to see. Another thing we do with our project teams to kind of continue this activity is it's always cross-silo. So every project we work has different pieces of the business in it. So what you're fostering is more cross-silo relationships, cross-silo knowledge. So people are learning more about the pieces of the business that they don't do day to day, and learning about the understanding of those pieces of the business. And creating relationships. Generally, Esri in general is a very flat organization, and it is very network-based. And this is essentially helping new people, when you have 9,000 people, connect into the network and be successful. And the very last thing that we did is basically give acknowledgement. So we started off kind of humble, like to be perfectly honest, and this may sound trite, but what I've done a lot of is just tell people and say to people, thank you. I mean, it means a lot. It's basically just thank you for the work, thank you for the energy. We give acknowledgement back to the silos, because the people doing this, it's not their full-time job. So we'll go back into dev or marketing and sales and say, yeah, okay, so-and-so, you know, Joan did this great work this past year on CX and has worked on these projects. And that we fostered, again, an environment that they're going to be recognition for the work that they've done that is outside of their standard business, but in line with the focus that we have with customers. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much for your time.